You might feel slower than you used to, less sharp, less interested, maybe a little distant from things that once felt close. And part of you might be quietly wondering if something is wrong. But stay here for a moment, not to fix anything, not to understand it all yet, just to notice this. What if this state you're in isn't a failure? What if it isn't a problem to solve right now? What if it's a response, a quiet one, an invisible one, not dramatic, not urgent? Just your mind doing something subtle in the background while you're busy surviving the days. You don't have to decide anything yet. You don't have to agree. Just let the idea sit here with you for a moment. If you've been telling yourself you should be handling things better, or that other people seem to manage life with more ease, there's a quiet weight that comes with that comparison. It can make you feel behind, or defective, or like you missed some internal instruction everyone else received. But what you're experiencing is more common than it feels. There are moments when the mind doesn't collapse or panic. It doesn't sound alarms. It doesn't create drama. Instead, it softens everything. Feelings flatten. Motivation dims. Thoughts slow or blur. And because it doesn't look like a crisis, it's easy to judge it, to assume you're lazy or disconnected or not trying hard enough. But this space right now isn't asking you to perform. It isn't asking you to explain yourself. It isn't asking you to be hopeful or strong. You don't need to label what this is yet. You don't need to push it away. For now, it's enough to know that nothing here requires punishment or urgency. There's more to this than it appears on the surface. Protection doesn't always look like strength. Sometimes it looks like distance, not caring as deeply as you used to, not reacting as quickly, letting messages sit unanswered, letting days blur together. This isn't your mind giving up. It's your mind lowering the volume. When too much has been asked for too long, the system doesn't always fight harder. Sometimes it quiets things down so nothing else overwhelms you. That quiet can feel unsettling because it removes the usual signals you rely on to know who you are. Excitement, urgency, drive. When those fade, it can feel like you're fading too. But this kind of protection is understated. It doesn't announce itself. It works by reducing intensity, by narrowing focus, by keeping things manageable. Even boredom can be part of this, even indifference. Not because life stopped mattering, but because caring at full volume wasn't safe anymore. You're not meant to like this state. You're just meant to pass through it. And there's more happening beneath the surface than it seems. Numbness can feel like emptiness, like nothing is landing the way it should. You might laugh at the right moments, say the right things, go through the routines, but inside, it feels muted, distant, as if there's a pane of glass between you and the world. That can be frightening because it doesn't come with an explanation. There's no clear moment you can point to and say, this is when I broke. But numbness isn't a break, it's a pause, a space where your system stops taking in more than it can handle. When feelings stack up without time to process, something has to give. So the mind creates space by reducing sensation. It's not erasing you, it's holding the line. You don't need to force yourself to feel more right now. That pressure only adds weight. This pause isn't permanent, but it doesn't end on command either. For now, it's just here, and that's allowed. There's another layer to this we haven't touched yet. Sometimes the quiet isn't actually quiet. It's filled with thoughts that loop, questions that don't resolve, mental noise that never fully settles. You might feel tired even after rest, worn down without doing anything that looks exhausting. That's because thinking can be a form of containment. When emotions are too much to process directly, the mind keeps itself busy, analyzing, replaying, imagining different outcomes. It can look like overthinking, but underneath, it's a way of keeping feelings at a manageable distance. If the mind stays active, the heart doesn't have to open too wide. This isn't a flaw in you, it's a strategy. And like most strategies, it costs energy. So if you've been feeling mentally foggy or slow, or like your thoughts are wading through mud, that's not a sign of decline. It's a sign that a lot is being carried quietly. You don't have to solve those thoughts tonight. You don't have to silence them. Just noticing that they exist for a reason can be enough for now. There's something important about what happens when we push against this state. When you try to force yourself out of this state, it often tightens instead of loosens, pushing for motivation, demanding clarity, telling yourself to just be normal again. That pressure sends a signal that what's happening isn't acceptable, and the mind responds by protecting harder. It pulls back further, it dulls things more, it keeps the guard up. This is why advice that sounds reasonable can feel unbearable right now. Just get moving, think positive, be grateful. Even gentle suggestions can feel loud when your system is already working to stay contained. It's not that you're resisting growth, it's that growth requires capacity. And right now, your capacity is being conserved. Trying to override that doesn't speed things up, it adds friction. So if you've noticed that effort makes you more tired, or that forcing yourself only deepens the fog, that's not you doing it wrong. It's feedback. Your mind is asking for less input, not more demand. We're getting closer to what helps here, but we're not there yet. There's a moment where nothing needs to be pushed away. Not the numbness, not the tired thoughts, not the lack of clarity, just a brief pause where you stop negotiating with how you feel. This isn't about acceptance in a big, resolved sense. It's smaller than that. It's letting things exist without commentary. You don't have to understand why you feel this way. You don't have to trace it back. You don't have to make it meaningful. Simply being with what's here can feel unfamiliar, especially if you're used to fixing, analyzing, or improving. But this kind of presence doesn't ask for effort. It doesn't move things forward. It doesn't move them backward either. It creates a neutral space. And in that space, the system doesn't have to defend itself as much. Nothing needs to open yet. Nothing needs to soften. This isn't relief, it's a loosening of resistance. A quiet moment where your mind doesn't have to work quite as hard to keep you safe. We're close to the gentlest part of this message now. If being here feels manageable, that's enough. You don't need to hold on to every word. You don't need to remember anything specific. This isn't something to take with you and apply later. It's just a place you can return to when things feel flat or heavy or unclear. Some people come back to this kind of space when they need quiet company, not conversation, not solutions, just the sense that someone understands the pace you're moving at. You don't owe anything for that. You don't have to engage more than you want to. You can listen or drift or leave and return another time. This space stays gentle on purpose, and if you're still here, that already says something about what you need right now. The last part is slower, softer. Nothing about you is broken, not your slowness, not your distance, not this quiet stretch where things feel muted. Your mind has been working in the background, reducing strain, lowering intensity, keeping things survivable. You don't have to rush it back into motion. There will be moments when feeling returns in small ways, not all at once, not dramatically, a flicker of interest, a brief sense of warmth, a thought that doesn't feel heavy. Those moments don't need to be chased. They arrive when there's enough room. For now, it's okay to move gently, to let days be simple, to let yourself exist without explanation. This state is not your identity. It's a phase of protection, and you don't have to thank it. You don't have to like it. Just know that it's temporary, and that underneath it, you're still here. You haven't disappeared. You're allowed to rest in that knowledge for a moment.